Do you need any help?
Nope, we're live.
Okay.
Thank you. Johnson just got this set up for me for the weekly wrap up. It has been, I know, a few weeks since we've been able to do one. Where do you even start on days like today, right? Where do you even start? I know many of you got to see the post yesterday that we had to say goodbye to our dear Shadow, who was 23 years old, and so many kind stories came in about a lot of people finding us through that rescue, and that Shadow was so many people's favorite cat here at the sanctuary. And we were just talking today, we had a staff meeting because we have a lot of rescues going on right now, and so sad that she's gone, but God, I can't think of her without smiling. She was happy every single moment of every day, and she just made us super happy too. So it was really sad to see her go. It was unexpected and expected at the same time. I think at 23 years old, hi Wobbles, excuse me Wobbles. At 23 years old, we knew something was going to take her. But kind of what I said is it's always hard because you guys have dealt with so many geriatric pets at home and animals we've lost here. Is you know the day's coming, but when you wake up that day and you're going about your day, you never know it's going to be that day. And that's what was extremely hard. And she had really defied the odds so many times. And the caretakers had noticed that she was struggling with larger pieces of meat over the last few months, and so they cut them smaller. They added juice, things like that. And we knew that if one of those tumors in the masses that she's been having for years were to go into her throat or mouth, that it would be the end, because where they usually show up it's just inoperable. And then at her age, it's putting her through the recovery. So we talked about all those options, but in the end, to see the staff know that morning when they gave her that med piece, which is really small, about the size of the quarter, and that she, really struggled to get a breath, to see how devastated they were when she was able to clear that and swallow that and breathe again and be fine. We knew we had to intervene that day. It had never been that bad. It had been kind of coughing or not being able to get it down. And so it's just hard. It's usually one thing, right? The rest of their body's running around. Her mind was there, but it was this tumor. So thank you guys for being there and loving Shadow, and thank you for all the smiles that she gave us. And so it is hard to see that enclosure empty. And so it's just, I'm glad she's back with Steve and all the cats from that rescue. And, I'm just so grateful. 23 years, you don't get that with a lot of animals. So I appreciate that Shadow hung out with us that long to give us as much enjoyment as she did. And so we've always said that Shadow was in one of those older enclosures. If you guys have ever been on site, it was the older one, kind of kitty corner, and it was so overgrown. But because she had kidney issues, we wanted her overgrown so that she was never baking herself in the sun, because she liked to do that. Hey, I've got two kitties over here fighting. But that enclosure's always had to be redone. So as of 2025, we will be doing a campaign in Shadow's honor to tear down that enclosure and rebuild it for another cat in need. So stay tuned on that. So thank you. And as I said in my e-newsletter, just going through the list of our 26 cats that are over 17, we have quite a few on the watch list. And so we will always let sponsors know as soon as a cat passes. We try to call all of you and try to reach you. And we try to do that as soon as possible. It's just sometimes when the waves of this come on, it's hard. So knowing, just preparing you, there are a few other cats that are very, very close to saying goodbye. And as hard it is on us, it is the one thing that I am steadfast and we owe them, is to not let them suffer and to make sure that those days they are here are quality days. And sometimes when you get older, mentation goes, legs go, and they can survive, but we want them to be able to thrive. And we don't want them to have to thrive like they did when they were 3 years old. We know 18 and 19 and 20-year-old cats aren't going to be that way, but we have to assess them in a new way, that they're doing okay. I mean, Benny, even yesterday, he's been deteriorating for a long time with his hyperthyroid. He's on meds, and at some point the meds aren't going to help. So he continues to lose weight, and over the last few days he's been really irritable, really restless. So we've been feeding him a lot more and things like that. And but we know Benny's time soon is just one of many, and so we're watching him every day. Jennifer's asking if we have a donation link. They will put one in the comments and up in here, but otherwise you can go to wildcatsanctuary.org, and there's a donate button on our main page. And thank you for so many that have donated in Shadow's memorial, and then definitely when we build that new habitat, we will make it in her honor and invite you guys to all be a part of that. So on top of all of this, I see that Kiara is, you can't see it behind me, but trying to focus. When Kiara's running around with squirrel and wobbles behind me, it's a little chaotic. So over the last week, I received an email that somebody reached out to us and said that they were referred to us by several rescue groups on a cat that needed a home. So of course I assumed it was a Bengal or Savannah. And it ended up being that somebody was evicted and had a beautiful, I think 2 or 3 year old domestic cat that named Beano that needed placement. And it was interesting that all the domestic cat rescues referred them to us because right now rescue groups are so full and they are trying to say yes, but they can't. So I wasn't the sucker this time. Katie agreed on TWS's behalf to take in another another domestic cat that needed a home. He's a lovely, beautiful boy. We'll get to show you him soon, but we already have a TWS person that is interested in adding Beano to their household, and so we knew it wouldn't take long for him to get adopted, and we're trying to figure kind of those details out, but it would be lovely that second chance for not only the wonderful person who did not want to have to surrender Beano, but took lovely care of him to get him back in a home environment. Not everybody lives their life so luxuriously in the office like you two. Hey, you two. You two do. Wobbles and squirrels are owning the place, and they've been running around outside and things too. Not outside, but outside my office. And Squirrels has really been out in the catio. She loves the catio. Wobbles hasn't gone out there yet. And so also working on, we have some other rescues going on. We have staff that are off today. We received a call from a very, very kind person that had a lot of animals in her life and had a pet bobcat. She took good care of. She was properly licensed due to health reasons and a divorce. She ended up moving the cat outside into an enclosure, and this little bobcat girl now is 4 years old. It was time that she gave her to a sanctuary because she wanted her to have a better life, and she couldn't give it to her based on her health. So our staff went there today. We were planning to bring a little bobcat here, and even though we didn't have space. But luckily, because we're part of the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance, another sanctuary reached out and sadly had lost a bobcat, and they have a young bobcat male that's living alone that could really use a partner. So we are working together, and we are getting, the little bobcat girl here today. We're getting a health certificate, and then that sanctuary is coming here to pick her up, to bring her to her forever home at their sanctuary. And I don't want to disclose who that is yet because it's their story to tell, but we're grateful when sanctuaries like us work together to be able to offer a second chance for another bobcat. So Elise and Rio were there this morning. They did have to sedate the bobcat to get her into the crate. She seems to be doing very well. They're bringing her past the vet on the way home since Dr. Campbell is out of town right now, and Dr. Camper's on call. So we'll get her situated, get her a good night rest before she goes to her forever home. And I'm sure if you follow other sanctuaries, you will find out where that forever home is in the near future. We're also working on you're going to tip over that TV, Wobbles. We're also working on several other cases. So I won't go into details because they're not finalized yet, but I got a call today and I will be flying out with another staff member tomorrow morning and coming back next week. I don't know when we'll be able to share the details or anything of those animals that will be coming here. It's always, things can change all the time, and right now we just wanting to make sure we put the animals first and do what's needed, and we're working hard to set up for the new group that will be coming here to us that we just found out about today. So there'll be more coming. You'll want to stay tuned through year end. We'll definitely share news with you when we can. We also have another serval that I received a call on from a person out of state that had falsified that it was an F1 Savannah, and she was worried about getting caught, and really loves this cat but knows it's time to get up to a sanctuary. And so again, I reached out to another sanctuary that was closer, that was also full but is making room to accommodate that serval too. So just a huge pat on the back to all of the sanctuaries that are stepping up to help with the small cat crisis. When we get a call on a tiger or even a cougar, we can place it hands down. People have space, but the small cats is getting tougher and tougher. And so we're really thankful when other sanctuaries find ways to accommodate. We don't ever want anybody to stretch themselves too thin, but sometimes you can definitely modify big cat enclosures for small cats. I know it's an expensive endeavor to say we built a tiger enclosure and now just one bobcat's going to use it, but I look at it too as like, wow, what a life for that bobcat. That bobcat's not living in a small space defined as a bobcat space, but gets to live in a free roaming space that a tiger would enjoy, and so a bobcat would really, really enjoy it too. So thank you guys, because of all the donations you give on Give to the Max, Giving Tuesday, other times of the year, we're able to always say yes when we have capacity. We also have had some other hybrids and Bengals on the waiting list for quite some time. And because we were able to revamp some of the old Bengal yards and put in new bungalows because of all of your generosity, we will be saying yes to a few of those that are on our waiting list. So we have a waiting list, and most of our waiting list is owner surrender, because we want to leave our openings open for those cats that are on the euthanasia list, or, our authorities intervened. Could be that somebody passed away, or it's stopping a cycle of an animal being exploited. So we do have a waiting list that sometimes those owners end up euthanizing those hybrids before we can accept them. Sometimes they will put them free on Craigslist or things like that, other different places. We hate to see that, but we understand we can't take every cat we hear about. So really, when we take a cat, we really want it to be ending a cycle or really turning the life around for that cat. I think we're just like dogs and cats rescues right now. We're in this space where we've never seen so many requests, and trying to keep up with it. So, and somebody's asking, I'm pretty sure she's at TCWR. No, Turpentine Creek actually took the serval that was from the car accident in Missouri. And so they've been helping too, but there are always more bobcats and always more servals that we're getting calls on. So these are additional to that one. So what else has been going on here? Beauty, I kind of told you guys out. She's still doing well, but she still has a long way to go from her acute renal failure that we think was from lepto. But so her kidneys have rebounded on her last blood test. Her liver is now having some issues, and this kind of follows that kind of tick-borne or lepto disease pattern. So she's drinking a lot of water. So we're looking at moving her to a space that we can get to her more through winter. So over the next week or so, she'll be moving to a different area in the sanctuary just so we have better access, but so she can still be in a free roaming habitat. And that might mean somebody else has to move, So stay tuned for that. We had our animal care interns at some of their last week. So we had a kind of going away party, and they each got one of the canvases of their favorite cats. And then it's just been a lot of people have had colds and sick. I had lost my voice. I've had, my mother was in the hospital, and then other people had some family instances or health issues. And so it's just been a kind of a really stressful time here for everybody at the sanctuary, and we're trying to come together and support each other as much as we can. It's also the time of year where we're presenting all of our budgets and business plans and revised strategic plans to the board of directors next week for approval. So we're trying to get all of that together on top of that. And so it's overwhelming, but it's doable because we have your support. Whenever we get rescue calls, whenever there's just, when you run a nonprofit, no matter what nonprofit you run, the to-do list is never done. And so I realized sometimes we just need to take a break. And that's what I was saying this weekend. I was going to take a break. And then I decided, no, I texted Scott and said, are you going to kill me if I get on an airplane and go do a rescue tomorrow? And he said, I've never said no, and I probably will never say no. So he's going to hold down the fort while we go help more cats in need. So today's a kind of a short weekly wrap up. Just still getting my head and heart around some losses and the geriatric care we're doing on some of the residents now, knowing we might have to say goodbye soon. So that weighs heavy on our heart, but we'd never exchange that for not helping these cats. It is a price we pay for rescue. And somebody that was Dash in the background, that is a Mimi, our first tiger, in a stained glass window that somebody gave me. It's just gorgeous. But I appreciate everything. I know Judson and Olivia have been doing wonderful and keeping you updated on live posts. Lucy is doing extremely well on her silencia. Judson even said we need to put some sand down because she's been running so much with the UTVs and we don't want her to slip. So, those are the things we're thankful for, that Lucy is doing extremely well here. And it feels almost like a year ago that we did that rescue. That's how many things change, and, kind of priorities here shift all the time. But it is good to stop and talk to all of you and really relish in those good moments, because those keep us through the hard days. So thank you all very much, and stay tuned as we can share more of the rescues we're participating in and those rescues that will be coming and calling the Wildcat Sanctuary home.